So what are some of the best brawler mechs in Battletech? That's what we're going to focus in on this vlog. Now, generally speaking, for the new players, the new mech warriors, battle mechs can be divided into two groups. Mechs that are focused on a specific role and mechs that have a little bit of everything where they can fill in each of the different roles in the game. An example of a focused mech would be something like the longbow or perhaps the archer. The idea is these long-range missile 20 packs are going to engage at long range. That's where the mech is going to look to catch you at. It has some other weapons. They have some other options if things get closer, but primarily focusing on long range. If we look at a mech like the Jaeger mech, this idea of an autocannon mech, and to a lesser extent the rifleman, although that's an older design, the idea is to not only engage at long range, but possibly deal with anti-air or air support on the table. A lot of mechs that we see, however, have a wide variety of weaponry, especially as we move to the heavy and assault mechs. A great example would be the Warhammer, one of my favorite mechs, right? Iconic mech of Battletech. You can engage at long range with those PPCs. As things get closer, you've got lasers. As things get point blank, you've got missiles and machine guns and other aspects. There's also a wide variety of weapons that allow you to engage vehicles, mechs, and infantry. So this also leads to the idea of mechs that are more specialized based on tonnage, based on engine, based on design for certain phases of the game. And this is kind of framing these idea of brawler mechs to kind of lead that discussion to kind of push into that. So we see, generally speaking, light mechs. They have tremendous speed because that's what's going to keep them alive. It's essentially an engine on legs. Light mechs excel in the movement phase. That is their strength, their ability to literally maneuver, jump around, and get into a key position to exploit or stay out of trouble. Then we see this idea of medium mechs that kind of are good workhorse at all phases of the game. Shooting phase, movement phase, physical attack phase. You get into the heavies and assaults, they're not so good in the movement phase, and that's not a criticism. They've got massive tonnage, these huge engines piloting everything, but they move generally slower. And of course, there's always exceptions in Battletech and custom mechs, but they're going to excel in this shooting type phase. The physical attack phase, the close combat phase of Battletech, mechs that excel in that phase, why? Or to at least take advantage of it. So one of the lists, tacticas that I pushed up to my channel here under Wargaming 101 was this idea of a focused list. Different ways you can build your army or your armada or your mechs, your lances, whatever it's going to be. And the idea was kind of like, I'm taking all my battle value, in this case, if it was another game, my squadron points, power points, and I'm going to put them into a primary phase of the game. I'm going to buy, in this case, mechs that excel in that phase. And the idea is I'm going to try and overwhelm you in that phase. So this idea of brawler mechs, what we're looking to leverage is, I want to take the tonnage of a mech because that's what does the damage, right? We look at PPCs, we look at missiles, we look at lasers. Brawling in terms of charging, in terms of death from above, in terms of kicking, in terms of punching, all physical attacks, tonnage is the factor. Now, that's not to say a wasp or a stinger can't punch or kick, but we really want to leverage the tonnage. You also need a way to get up there. So right away, we're looking good brawler mechs. I'm looking at heavies at a minimum. At a minimum. I mean, there are some good medium brawler mechs too. Heavies is a minimum, and assault mechs really as the key, just maximum tonnage. The type of stuff that if I kick you, it's going to tear your leg off and just split you right down the center torso with the transference and other aspects. If I punch you, I'm punching through to internals. If I do hit your head, I'm knocking your head off. This is one of the big things about punching in Battletech. We have a damage chart, and different mechs have different armor, but for the most part, the head is extremely vulnerable to physical attacks. Knocking the head off takes out the mech. It also forces certain pilot checks, consciousness check. There's a chance you might go night-night, fall asleep for a round, turn. That is huge. It's a 1 in 6 chance, right? You're physically attacking up a 1 in 6 chance. Never tell me the odds, but I like those odds. So right away, just leveraging the combination of a punch 1 in 6 chance for a headshot combined with the tonnage, the damage that transfers, that's huge. So a Brawler Mech is going to try and get up there and literally punch things. But are you going to let that happen? So the first question, of course, is a delivery system. Getting up there, I either need speed or massive armor. So the first thing I'm looking at is a relatively faster or fast-ish assault mech that has the armor. That's going to get me up there. Now, I might want to have some other units working in tandem to keep you busy, so you're not shooting at my assault mech. But then when we get up close, we're going to be punching. Now, I want to do something on the way in. I just don't want to have, example. I don't want to just have it like, I like the Charger a lot. I really do, because I'm going to negate it with what I'm going to say here. But the Charger as a Brawler mech, it's fantastic, but it's kind of violating and breaking some of those rules, because with all those lasers, the little pop lasers, it really has nothing to do on the way in, but the speed makes up for it. Preferably, a Brawler mech is going to have something to shoot at on the way in, either to soften up the target or working as part of a lance. It just has something to do. That's not most efficient use of turns if I'm not shooting. So that's criteria there. I want something that's got good armor, good speed. I want to have something with some weapons to make it up there. And I also want to pay attention to the location of the weapons. We see a lot of assault mechs will mount a primary weapon in their arm, or machines that in theory work as a Brawler mech. They're not as efficient. Perfect example, the Awesome mech. I play the Awesome. It's an awesome mech. Is that a Brawler mech? Well, certainly it has the massive tonnage. Certainly it has the armor. But where it falls a little shy is the fact that you've got a PPC in that arm. So would I be making those attacks? The Battlemaster could be another great Brawler mech. Actually, you look at the Battlemaster and you say, hey, this is a pretty good, solid Brawler mech, because it's got good armor, it's got good speed, it's got weapons to shoot on the way in. It's going to utilize both arms. But then I'm not shooting that PPC. Now, would I be shooting that PPC at such close range? I don't know, maybe. But I wouldn't be making, if I was making a physical attack, no. If I wasn't, depending on the heat, depending on the situation, even with the modifiers, I might. So the most ideal Brawler mech would not have arm or hand weapons at all, so it can utilize that, but it would have weapons in another location. And again, I'm not saying an Awesome or a Battlemaster can't make an effective Brawler mech. They really can. I mean, they're up there. The Battlemaster can, because it has those close range weapons, because when I'm punching and attacking, another criteria of a Brawler mech is I want to use all phases of the game. I want to be shooting you with my left torso, right torso, or center torso type weapons. I want to be firing my weapons and then punch. I want to be utilizing that. The final aspect of a good Brawler mech is battle value. Now, this is where it's hard, because it's an assault mech. You're paying. It's not a hard, fast rule. I really want to look at the battle value. I'm not opposed to going in and not spending battle value. But a Brawler mech is going to be literally point blank close to that lance. And a good player will keep their lance together. You're going to be soaking up a lot of firepower. The plan is I'm going to knock you out before you knock me out. Plus, it's just a lot of fun to play from that perspective. So machines that might work like a Brawler mech, but have a higher battle value, this is where something like the Awesome or the Battlemaster, you start to look and say, well, I mean, they could work, yes, but do I really want to be that close? Especially if I'm the Awesome. The Awesome doesn't want to be that close eating all that. It wants to stay at that medium range and just leverage that whole slab of armor to protect itself. It could get up there and brawl, but if I'm focusing on a Brawler mech, that's the whole point of what it's going to do. You could do a custom. Awesome, just of 2 fists, and have the 2 PPCs and have the heat management to do that and shoot. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of custom type machines out there. Okay. Brawler mechs, the 2 that I regularly bring. Then I'm going to turn it over to you guys in the comments, because we've got a couple of new mech warriors to the channel. And look, They're passionate about the game. They're jumping in. They're looking for any excuse to buy some more miniatures. So let's give them an excuse to pick up some Brawler mechs, get them on the table, roll some dice, and have some fun. First Brawler mech that I regularly play, the Charger. Low battle value, high speed, very effective, good tonnage. Stock one, no variants. The small laser pop guns, okay, I don't have anything to do on the way in. I don't like that. Certain locations of the lasers, I don't like them because I'm not firing them all because I'm punching. But the speed and the armor and getting up there, it's an effective brawling machine. Bonus points worth the price of admission because if I knock you out with a Charger, really? Like, that tabletop glory is a little bit hard to resist. Something a little more practical, base Banshee. Good speed, fantastic armor. It's got the PPC for the range. It's got the autocannon for the range. They're in the torsos. Once you get up there, punch, autocannon, possibly PPC, depending on the heat, depending on just modifiers. Let's see what happens. But that is a pretty savage machine to get up there, especially if you find yourself in a city fight type situation where line of sight and lanes of fire are blocked or shortened and you can move around and through buildings and hand-to-hand combat in Battletech. It is a thing. I mean, look, we've got the Axeman. We've got the other mechs that utilize those weapons. There's rules for picking up blown off limbs and trees and all sorts of crazy stuff. We even played rules of throwing cars. We had little physical Z-scale cars where you could pick those up and essentially throw them. So a lot of different things. It essentially counted it as an SRM 2-pack, just causing 2 points of damage, one hit to one area. Why would you do it? Well, I mean, maybe if you didn't have any other weapons or just you were on the ground, you picked it up, or just for the lulls. We just had so many of these Z-scale cars. We're like, we got to do something with it. We got to make a house rule for it. But the Banshee, a very, very effective Brawler mech. So turning it over to you guys in the comments, dedicated Brawler mechs, what should we be looking at? Machines that can work as brawlers, but maybe not super optimal. But again, maybe you don't want super optimal because you want to dance around between these different phases of the game and you want to have options for good physical attacks, but also good shooting attacks.